Hello, I hope you had a wonderful week and a productive week as well. Good to have you here again today, and I hope you had the chance to also watch the last video we put up last week. Talking about the fundamentals of success never change. It stays the same. It's constant. There's no magic wand to success. You just gotta stay grafted and consistent in whatever it is you're doing and you're seeking success in as well. You gotta consistently do it. But today I just wanted to share, few of the knowledge I gained this week from a podcast I was listening to. Most of you obviously may know him. He's my mentor as well. Jim Rohn, most of you may know him as well. A legend. Love listening to him. And in the podcast I was listening to, he was talking about the law of use, and the law goes, right, or states, whatever you don't use, you lose. Right? I'll repeat that again. Whatever you don't use, you lose. So what does this mean? Right. When we were created, we came into this world with endless potential. I'm not trying to preach here, but God blessed us. I think there's even a part in the Bible where it said, before you were born, I knew you. I know loads and loads of Bible verses, I'm sure, obviously in all the spiritual books as well, that talks about, coming into this world and not living a life of limitations, or taking dominion and living life, with no limits, right? No preaching here. But what then happens along the line? We grow, find ourselves in different environments, go through some processes in life, culture, that then puts us in a box, right? And sometimes affects, our potential, which is fact. I completely understand that. But what that also means is the things that we come into this world with, the potential, the talent, all of these things that we then come into this world with, that we don't then use, over time we lose. Sometimes some people don't even get to identify those talents in themselves, which is very, very sad. But sometimes the ones that do is over time, because of this, so many things going on around this world, they don't put them to use, it declines over time. So I'll give example. Someone that's very ambitious, very, very ambitious when they're growing up, and over time, all of a sudden, this person is just very comfortable. There's no much of ambition in them anymore, because they didn't constantly put that ambition to use. So over time, it declines. Same with someone who is very strong in faith. Over time, if they don't continue to put that faith to work, over time it diminishes. Someone with talent, whatever talent God has blessed you with, you're an athlete, you're a singer, you're a businessman, you're a comedian, whatever it is, you don't put that to work, over time it diminishes. Right. And that's not a good thing, because I'm going to refer to that again, the story of the 5 talents, because he also mentioned that in the podcast. I encourage us to just, go read the story of the talent again and just understand how deep that story is, and just understand from different perspective. I think 2 weeks ago we spoke about it from the perspective of Miles Monroe, where he talks about God does not leave us empty. He always gives us something, right? Within your own ability, within our ability as well. So Jim Rohn, when I listened to this particular podcast, he spoke about it, the 5 talents from the perspective of not putting something to use that God has given to you or that you have within yourself. Right? We know what happened in that story. the one that didn't put the talent to use, his one was taken away from him and given to the people that put their talent to use. So you can see the correlation here. Now, from a different perspective, whatever you don't use, whatever God has blessed you with, whatever talent the universe has blessed you with that you don't put to use, will be taken away from you and given to someone else. Right? That's why sometimes some people say, I used to do this. I wish I could still do it. You can still do it if you continue to put it to use. Or you're willing to change, which is another thing now we're going to talk about. But all that thought, whatever you don't use, you lose. Right? We all can do anything at any given point in time if we're willing to change. I think I shared a parable in a while back as well. I said from where I'm from, the parable goes, the time you wake up, the time someone wakes up, that's the morning. So it can then be over the years you've not put this talent to use, but the moment you realize that this is still there, or I can even do it, even though you haven't even identified it within you, but you say, you know what, I can do this, and I'm willing to change. I'm willing to learn. I'm willing to change my thought process. I'm willing to reinvent myself to ensure that I can do this. Then yes, you can do it. And then you start putting those things into work, putting those creativity into work, and it increases. Some people may argue that, oh yeah, but if I don't just use it, I just keep it there, it's just there. When I need it, I'll go back to take it. But that's not how it works though, right? Because something you're not putting to use will not replenish, will not get refined, will not get better. Right? It's like saying, oh yeah, I'm not using my energy, I'm going to store it. I'm going to store it somewhere. At the end of the year, I'll take it back and start exercising. It doesn't work that way. Coming from someone that had issues with consistency with working out. It requires more energy to start a workout again than to just continue doing those workouts anyways, as much as you can. So it requires change, and change is not a fun thing. I'll tell you for a fact. Someone say I had to take a deep breath there because it's not an easy journey. Trust me, to change and just be disciplined in whatever it is you're doing and putting those things to use. Someone who is on this journey of life with you learning and reinventing himself, change is not fun, but change is good. Related to, people that, working, maybe tomorrow your management just comes in and say, you know what, we're changing the whole systems, the whole processes. And we humans, we can be quite rigid in our ways. It's like, oh no, we're going to resist change. We're going to resist it. Most people resist it. But then at some point you get over it and then just learn. But it takes work to change. It requires work. It requires work to change. Remember though, I gave the example of the energy as well. So if I'm going to change, it requires energy, right? It requires mental energy. It requires physical energy. Whichever area you're looking to change, it requires mental energy. But the good thing with that is the more I'm using it, the more it replenishes, the more God replenish it. Because I'm using that energy to do something that He's blessed me with or He's blessed you with, right? And then He replenishes that because He wants you to do that, because He's giving you the ability to do that thing. Same with your faith. You then have faith that, you know what, I can actually do this. The more faith you have, the more it increases. It doesn't decrease because you're using it. It's not like a fuel. It's not like the fuel in your car that you can just, if you just leave it there, it stays there. It's not, and when you're driving, it reduces. No. It's the opposite. The more you use it, the more it replenishes. The more it grows stronger. Right? The more you use your talent, the better you get at it, the more ideas you get, the more things you think about to then refine and get better at that thing you do. But it requires change as well, which then takes, me to, I think the quote it mentioned as well, Jim Rohn mentioned, is that for things to change for you, you've got to change. You've got to change. Because the world is not going to change for you. I think that's sometimes one of the biggest mistakes we make in thinking, the world is going to change for us. No, it's not going to change for us. If we are people who actually look at history, and I'm not talking about 400, I'm not going to go as far as 400 years. Let's just look at the last 40 years. Let's look at the last 40 years. The world has not changed much, aside from having more pessimistic people. Right. It's not changed much. Why do I say that? We just came out of COVID. And I'm going to look at this from a very economical perspective as well. We just came out of COVID, which affected the world's economy. Right. And people lost their jobs. Some companies haven't even recovered from COVID to today. Right. A few years before that, I believe there was an housing crisis, which also affected economies, global economies, right? I believe a few years before that as well, there was something called the Great Depression, if I'm not mistaken, which also affected the economy. A few years before that, there was the internet booming or something, or, I think they call it the www.com era or something like that. I can't really remember exactly what it's called, which also affected the economy. And in all of these years, there've been stuff like inflation, high cost of living. The high cost of living is increasing as we go by the day. It is going up. In 10 years' time, the cost of living now would be cheaper than the cost of living in 10 years' time. This is not to scare anybody, but I'm going somewhere here. And people are constantly complaining of this same thing. They're complaining of this, the job market, they're complaining of high cost of living, they're complaining of inflation, they're complaining of the things that they would like to do that they can't do because of the economy. But they're not willing to change themselves, to then protect themselves from when this thing happen again, because something else will happen again in the future that will affect the economy again, that will make inflation go up even more. Not a preacher of bad news here, but that we don't have control over. Me and you don't have control over. So the things we have control over now is the change we can make within ourselves to ensure that we prepare ourselves for when those things continue to happen. And it's not an easy thing to do. But instead, people take the easier route to complain rather than seeking, how can I do self-inventory to change so by in 5 years' time that can also change. If something else is to happen, I'm in a better financial position to withstand wherever that is. Right? I'm going somewhere. And it's not always going to be bed of roses when you decide to make that change. Because opportunity always mixes with difficulties. With every opportunity, there's always difficulties that comes with it. It's not just a bed of roses. Nope. It's not a bed of roses. Else everyone would be a billionaire today. Right? It comes with difficulties. I'll give you an example. Came across an opportunity recently as well, and amazing opportunity, and it's like, oh my god, like this works. But it does have its challenge, which still working around seeing ways you can figure that out too. Amazing opportunity, but now it requires that work now requires that creativity. How can we go about this to ensure that we take advantage of this opportunity? How can we do this to ensure that we have this, to then do this, to then take advantage of this opportunity? You know. But for some people, it's like, no, man, like, oh my gosh, why am I going to do this? Where am I going to get this from? Does this even work? They then go into that fear mode. They then go into that doubt mode, forgetting that faith and fear cannot coexist. And if you're not utilizing your faith, that means your faith is diminishing, is declining, and fear and anxiety and doubt increases. Right? You're not using it, and then something else comes into it, and then you use more of that, and that won't continue to increase. That fear, doubt increases over time, right? You know, the ambition decreases, and then just like, let's just stay with the status quo. I'm happy where I am. But yeah, where I am right now, I'm very, very happy and comfortable with it. Not to say you can't be happy where you are, but you don't want to be where you are for the next 5-10 years. And for that not to happen, you need to be doing something different from today. Not in 5-10 years' time. It starts from today. That's what a lot of us mistake. We don't really get. After daytime comes night. The same things that don't change. But we're not trees. We change. We need to change. Even trees sometimes change in the winter. All the leaves fall off. In the summer, the leaves comes out. Right. So the only way it gets better is when we get better. But if we're not putting those things to use, it diminishes over time. We can't save it and store it for the next life. If there is even a next life. Right. But you also need to learn how to protect. You also need to learn how to protect these things. Learn how to protect your faith. Learn how to protect your ambition. Learn how to protect your work ethic. Learn how to protect your consistency. I think I shared this in a previous video as well, where it's like, you know, when you read, you listen, you associate yourself with a certain caliber of people. I keep saying it, association is very, very important. Oh my God, association is key. Like, who are you associating yourself with? When you do these things, by the way, we'll come back to that. When you do these things, by the way, it protects you from the outside world, from the pessimistic mind, from the doubters or the people that themselves believe is not as strong. Protects you from that. So you need to learn how to protect your crop so that those things that you have within you does not constantly diminish and declines, and over time you lose it. Because like I said, it's not like a petrol in your car that will just stay there if you don't use your car, or that will just diminish as you use your car. No, it's the opposite. This one, the more you use it, the more it replenishes and the more it increases. But if you don't, it diminishes, it decreases, and you lose it. Yes. I know it's not easy. Like I said, it's not easy. Trust me, it's not easy. You know? And things happen. And it happens to everyone. Everyone has challenges. Every single person has a challenge, one challenge or the other that they're facing. And the moment we understand this, the quicker we start realizing that, you know, no one is free from challenge. And as such, is not the challenge, is how we then respond to those challenges. Some people see challenge as problem instead of solutions to elevation or an opportunity to elevation. I think Jumron mentioned, he said, I think Okoye, he said, I used to blame the weather. He said, I used to blame the weather until I realized he also rains on the ridge. I used to blame the weather until I realized he also rains on the ridge. So no one is free from challenges, just how you respond to it, gets perspective then. So what are you going to do about it? Those talents you're not using, what you're going to do about it? You're going to continue complaining or looking for reasons like, we humans will always do. We look for reasons to justify why we're not doing things, or why things are not going the way they should. We look for reasons and it's just like, okay, what are you gonna do about it at the end of the day? Remember, whatever you don't use diminishes. I'll give this quick example and then we'll wrap up. I love music. People that know me know that I love music. And I used to play the drums. I still do play the drums, but not as often as I used to. Back then in church, the younger boys and the younger kids in church, they love the sound of instrument. They want to learn, they want to play. And you have the sets that'll come around the drums and, want to play, and you let them play. I teach them the little I know how to do, and great kids, made great kids. Couple months ago, like sometime last year, really. So last year, yeah. Went to church now, saw these kids, and one of the kids, no, actually two of them, because they took turns, under the drums. I was like, what? Right, these are these same guys, like, I see the drummers and the drummers, them ones. Me, I feel like I'm a drummer. I'm not a drummer. Right? These guys under the drums, and it was like, oh my God, like how incredible. Like also at that proud moment, like, okay, remember I told you one of those things though. I told you one or two things about drums, so you best to give my respect. I'm joking. But I was very happy and proud, and kudos to them. Like amazing, like kudos to those kids. They stayed consistent, they put their mind to it, they done it, and it's upwards from here for those kids. But my point is, I don't even want to go on that drum scene and play, because I know they're so good, like they perfected their craft as well. But I'm not like the things I still know about the drums now, the things that I knew 5-10 years ago. But so there's not much improvement in terms of me evolving as a drummer. Do you get what I'm saying? It's not saying that one can't still pick those things up. But it then requires change within us. It then requires us to put into practice again, to then ensure that we perfect that craft. But the things I know about drums now, the things that I knew 5-10 years ago, 15 years ago, when I first learned how to play the drums, those are the same things I still know now, because I didn't continue that journey of perfecting that craft, of getting better at drumming. Why those kids, like they top professionals now, they can go to a concert and play drums for people. Fact. But whatever it is you don't use, you lose. And instead of complaining, what are you gonna do about things? The laws are neutral. It doesn't favor anyone. There's no advantage or disadvantage when it comes to the law. It's very neutral. Remember the story of the 5 talents. The ones who put their talent to work saw a reward. One who did it got his one taken away from him. And that's how whatever it is we have within us is as well. You don't put it to work. The Creator, the one who created us all, that gave us that thing, will take it away from us and give it to someone that is ready to use it. Until you're ready, because He's also a faithful God. Right? Not preaching here. But the law of use is factual. In any area you want to apply it in your life, it's neutral and it's factual. Right. But anyways, thank you for listening. I hope you stay grafted, stay winning, keep pushing. And yeah, see you again soon.